Welcome again to 10 with Ken. I'm Ken Steele. For the next few episodes, we're back in the brand chemistry lab, where we analyze what makes higher ed marketing tick. When college or university leaders work to refine or focus their institution's brand identity, they can often stir up a hornet's nest. Students, faculty, and alumni can be passionately attached to the traditional logos or coats of arms of their alma maters. And as we've seen far too often in recent years, these thousands of intelligent stakeholders can strike back with astounding ferocity in a war of words that takes many marketing agencies by complete surprise. This week, we take a look at some cautionary tales in higher ed branding and what can be an all-too-natural response: careful, cautious new brands. Let's take 10 and take a look. Colleges and universities are increasingly competing nationally and internationally to recruit the top students, faculty, and researchers. Especially for small and remote institutions, branding is about survival. Many seek to hire the best ad agencies or design firms they can afford, and with a slowing economy, that's been easier to do than ever before. Institutional budgets are no longer beneath the notice of marketing firms in tough times, but branding an academic community is a fundamentally different exercise than branding beer, fast food, or automobiles. Sure, the fundamentals are the same, but the political context is entirely different. Unlike corporate CEOs, university presidents do not get the final say. Unlike typical employees, faculty are fierce defenders of free speech and autonomy, and predisposed to energetic challenge and debate. Millennial students are, of course, skeptical of corporate-style branding, but they're also critical of anything that in any way reduces the appeal or prestige of their credential. Higher ed branding demands patience and extensive consultation, but it also demands a marketer's A-game, no matter how limited the budget. You have to satisfy thousands of intelligent, thoughtful, and yes, nitpicky stakeholders who will be quick to criticize lazy work. Last summer, for example, the student union at St. Thomas University in Fredericton discovered the hard way what happens when you entrust a sign shop to design the logo for your orientation program. The idea of Stu Fari had some creative potential, and it was logical to invoke the stereotypical African animal, the lion. But the graphics firm simply plagiarized a visual from Disney's long-running Broadway musical, The Lion King. The firm reportedly reassured the student union that plagiarism didn't matter. But then somebody tipped off CBC News. Reporters contacted the university, and the logo was yanked from social media within days. But thankfully, the lion droppings hit the fan well before hundreds of t-shirts and water bottles were printed. The replacement graphic looks a bit placid and dull, but at least it didn't create legal excitement during O Week. I've said many times that higher ed brands are identity brands. Students and alumni take on the insignia of their tribe. They wrap themselves in their school colors, cheer for the home team, and as alumni they become passionate champions. Not surprisingly, they can be extraordinarily resistant to new visual identities, no matter how big an improvement. Consider the backlash a couple of years ago at the University of Dayton in Ohio, where they introduced a slick new athletics logo for the Flyers. The university enlisted a top-flight design firm and had support from the ace marketers at Nike as well. But the students objected to the way the blue wings appeared to form the letter V and mocked the logo for apparently promoting venereal disease. But Dayton Athletics weathered the storm of criticism and the new Flyers logo remained unchanged. Eventually, opposition faded away. Maybe campus athletic brands can afford to ignore dissent, but universities with their sensitivities to donor opinion and reputation have proven much less immune to criticism. Infamously back in 2012, the University of California system proudly launched a new, modern icon to take the place of its 140-year-old seal in most marketing materials. The idea, which wasn't bad in itself, was to create a single, modern icon to unite the brand identities of the 10 campuses in the UC system, all of which were using a variety of word marks and logos. But 30,000 students signed a petition opposing the new logo, which they insisted looked like a flushing toilet. The logo has now all but disappeared. Here in Canada, our own cautionary tale comes from the University of Waterloo. Back in 2008, Waterloo undertook a thoughtful and strategic branding process. Like UC, Waterloo was not abandoning its traditional coat of arms, but wanted a more contemporary logo to reflect its reputation as Canada's most innovative university. Here's an excerpt from the video describing their rationale.
When you hear Ivy League, you probably think about the most recognizable universities in the world, who are known for accomplishments which put them in their own league. Waterloo is definitely not a traditional university. Although we strive to join the best in the world, we are not like them in many ways, and so it doesn't make sense for us to look like them either. Our logo needs to show our spirit of innovation and creativity, of moving forward and of making the future. Also, keep our risk-taking and unconventional spirit in mind.
As a marketer, I certainly see the logic of differentiating Waterloo from other elite universities. But it doesn't take that much experience in higher ed to hear alarm bells when the brand rationale appears to insult the aspirations of faculty and students. Although we strive to join the best in the world, we're not like them? Ouch! The proposed new brand identity for Waterloo featured a modern sans serif typeface and a bold W icon. Not bad, but not especially good either. Maybe the designers didn't bring their A game, or maybe the best ideas were killed in committee. I don't know. The colorful lines that filled the W added some visual interest, and the system of faculty sub-brands makes it a more creative design. I think I get what they were going for, although it doesn't feel quite finished yet. And the marketers clearly failed to take into account something pretty significant: the nature of Waterloo students. Waterloo is an aspirational university for high-achieving students in science, computing, and engineering in particular. They are disproportionately male and frequently new or first-generation Canadians. I've done enough focus groups with these student segments to know that they cherish tradition and prestige in their universities. They revere ivy-covered walls and traditional coats of arms. This kind of student became the branding committee's worst nightmare. But before the university could properly launch the new identity, or perhaps share it with the campus community in a planned way, it was leaked online, apparently by a student participating in an advisory committee. Things quickly got out of hand. Within days, a Facebook group opposing the new logo had thousands of members. Students posted hundreds of parody photos, mocking the logo and insulting the intelligence of its designers. Haters gonna hate. The colorful lines in the new icon reminded critics of laser beams, barbed wire, Spider-Man's web, of drug-crazed rave parties, and worse. The trolls were merciless. The university reacted pretty well, launching a Facebook group of their own in response. They posted the rationale video, shared the 3 finalists in the design process, and invited the campus community to vote on their preference. But frankly, the other 2 choices were terrible. The forced choice was an insult to people's intelligence. Tellingly, the video attempted to quell opposition by downplaying the importance of a visual identity.
Outstanding faculty, staff, students, alumni, and partners drive our success, not the design of a logo.
When marketers start telling you that a logo doesn't matter, you can tell they're beating a hasty retreat. They'd already lost the battle. Ultimately, the university abandoned the W icon entirely, although it adopted the new wordmark, which is used both with and without the old shield. The colorful lines from inside the icon were repurposed, curved, and used as supporting visual elements instead. The logo was sacrificed to the power of public opinion, but the brand strategy remained in place. The aborted logo redesigns at UC and at Waterloo are in some ways ancient history, but they hang over university marketers in particular as cautionary tales. I think that's why we tend to see remarkably cautious new brand identities from Canadian universities. In fall of 2014, at its homecoming, Brandon University in Manitoba launched a new, streamlined version of its visual identity. The new logo retained the traditional coat of arms and color scheme, but dropped the Greek motto and replaced the traditional serif wordmark with a bolder sans serif typeface. The institution made it explicit that the original crest would continue to be used for parchments, alumni rings, and ceremonial purposes. This is starting to sound like a constant refrain from university branders. The blue and gold chevron would be used as a strong design element in print materials and stationery. Not surprisingly, there was no noticeable opposition to these subtle brand adjustments. Last year, the Université de Québec en Outaouais, or UQO, revamped its visual identity in preparation for its 35th anniversary. No question, the gold color and oblong shapes of the old visual identity looked like something from the 1970s. The new acronym and wordmark was clearly an improvement, although it's a bit cold and corporate if you ask me. It certainly won't inflame passions among stakeholders for or against. UQO's new brand launched with a new recruitment slogan as well. Être plus près, aller plus loin. Be closer, go further. The concept is pretty conventional in higher education, especially among regional institutions speaking to local students. Years ago, Huron University College at Western recruited with the slogan, "Start here, go anywhere." The University College of the Fraser Valley used to promise that big dreams start here. Red Deer College used to say, "Start small, dream big." And over the years, there have been many other examples. UQO's brand campaign was professionally executed and essentially unobjectionable. Universities like to pride themselves on being hubs of scientific innovation and places that inspire students to challenge accepted wisdom. For years, York University urged students to redefine the possible. Dalhousie promised students would discover the unexpected. Clarkson University in New York declared defy convention. And appropriately enough, Defiance College in Ohio urges students to defy the ordinary. So the University of Ottawa was following a higher ed branding convention, actually, when they launched their new campaign at the end of 2014. Defy the conventional.
Defy the conventional. Some rely on their appearance. Others hit the slopes in a bathing suit. Or customize their car. At U Ottawa, defy the conventional means using math to fight cancer and music to learn chemistry. It means using plants to prevent Alzheimer's or studying a political speech by analyzing heart rates. We believe that connecting cultures, languages, and perspectives generates new ideas. Defy the conventional. This is U Ottawa.
Although the theme is a bit conventional, U of O's new campaign is daring in its execution, with bright, bold colors and quirky, cartoon-like illustrations. U of O is attempting to build a distinctive brand on a platform of interdisciplinarity, and of course its unique identity as Canada's largest bilingual university. Let's look at one more way in which university marketers proceed cautiously in order to avoid stakeholder pushback. In late 2014, Cape Breton University in Nova Scotia announced a new brand identity to take the place of their ornate, traditional, almost Celtic logo. In a sense, though, this rebranding was more like an unbranding, switching to an utterly generic sans serif type treatment. The new brand identity is anchored on a single bold word: happen. The word is supposed to conjure up a sense of possibility, spirit, and drive. CBU's new brand guidelines include a vibrant color palette, a startling transformation from the forest green and black of the past. And staff can choose from a range of colorful business card designs, which is also bold and unusual. But the wordmark itself is deadly dull. I was astounded that one of Toronto's top design firms would create a visual identity this bland. But a closer look at the brand guidelines reveals that this is being called a temporary wordmark. CBU's rebranding is in effect unfolding in slow motion. The first step was an unbranding, removing the traditional wordmark and going without a new one for a full year. I've seen a few institutions do this as a deliberate strategy to minimize opposition to a new logo design, and it does seem to work. Stacey Black, CBU's Director of Marketing Communications, tells me that in fact their new visual identity will begin rolling out in the next few weeks. I look forward to seeing what they've come up with. Well, as you might expect, we are out of time. Thanks for taking 10 with me. This week we looked at how students, faculty, and alumni can be merciless critics of institutional brand efforts, and at how college and university marketers have been playing it safe as a natural consequence. But what happens when a college or university wants national or international attention so desperately that they're willing to push the limits, break the rules, and be intentionally provocative? Next week, we'll take a look at some higher ed brands that deliberately courted controversy. It happens more than you might think, and the results might surprise you. I hope you'll join me. And meanwhile, you can check out dozens of previous episodes on iTunes or YouTube. And if you subscribe to my free email newsletter, you'll get early access to upcoming episodes a full week before the general public. But hang on, one more thing before you go. Last fall, Mount St. Vincent University in Halifax launched new student recruitment ads featuring a memorable visual theme. Urging students to shape your path, the Mount's 15-second commercials captivate with cascading dominoes and promote various programs. You should see one of the ads, just in case you missed it.
You have big ideas, big passion. Piece by piece, you're creating a journey, making a difference through communication. And we're here to support you, to help you shape your path and be part of something big.